Okay, let's go. Hey everybody, Kyle Howard and Brian McGill back at you with our extended edition to this week's What's Up Wednesday. We're doing a short interview with Duncan Chapel Elementary and Tawanda Bowie, the campus instructional coach. Tawanda, you want to say hello to the folks?
Hello, folks. How is everyone doing?
Tawanda, we've had a kind of a really exciting semester this year. We actually met 2 years ago at the ESEA conference, and this year, obviously, COVID, and then it was time to kind of look closely at your instructional strategy. But folks want to hear about Duncan Chapel Elementary. You want to talk to us a little bit about your campus and the students you serve?
Absolutely. So we are a school in Greenville County that receives Title I funds. We serve about 600 students. About 200 of those students are attending virtually, but they're still Duncan Chapel kiddos. We are a true community school. We sit nestled in a community right near Furman University. 29% of our students are ESOL students. 35% are African American. We have 30% that are Caucasian. And within the building, there are about 45 teachers who serve our kids daily. We have maybe 30 support staff, but again, a real community school. We focus on community service, do a lot of community service projects. Of course, this year looks a little different, but still practicing that same love of community, building that community within classroom and within our families. So it's a little bit about Duncan Chapel.
And it's been a really exciting school, and it's very busy as as we can see today. We met kind of about I guess 2 years ago. Kyle, do you want to take the next question?
Yeah, sure. So kind of going,
Kyle's frozen.
I want to ask about, for one, what was your first introduction to Sibme? Can you tell us a little bit about that, your first introduction to Sibme?
Absolutely. So we went out, and it seems like last year, but it really was 2 years ago. We went to the ESEA conference in Atlanta. I went out with my administrator and a couple of other staff from my school, and they had an opportunity to see a school out of Atlanta that really talked about the platform of Sibme and how they've used it to kind of leverage student achievement, teacher practices, and it just seemed so powerful. After a couple of my colleagues were able to see that school in action, we actually had a meet and greet with that principal along with Brian. I think you were also there, Cal, just to kind of have some more background behind Sibme and how he used it at his school to really bring leverage to instructional practices and student achievement. So then we kind of jumped on with a trial just to kind of see, testing the waters, what would it be like at Duncan Chapel? How could we use it here within our own building to bring that same leverage to student achievement, and looking at PLCs closer. So that's the beginning of that story and how we got introduced to Sibme.
And so, obviously with kind of your as the year kind of progressed, y'all hadn't forgotten about us. Reached back out, I think a little bit after Thanksgiving, and said, "Hey, Brian, we need to do a trial of Sibme. What do we do?" And we actually, because we had some software updates, we met for a demonstration. Talk to us about that experience, from there.
So from there, I guess initially we started with a few teachers, and I get an opportunity to work with some awesome people here. Our reading specialists, actually, we partner closely with coaching So we brought on a couple teachers to kind of pilot Sibme to see how we could really use it as learners. And this was coming totally from a coaches trying to just navigate Sibme and trying to use an additional tool to allow the teachers to still not be compromised by meetings and let's meet here or let us come in and watch you. It just gave them an opportunity to really capture what's going on in their classroom without anybody else being there, but then us coming back together to have those conversations around an element of coaching that they felt they wanted to grow in, they wanted to grow their students in. And from there, I think we kind of got a little taste of what Sibme could really do for us as coaches. And we wanted to take a deeper dive. And I do feel like considering our environment this year, it really gave us that additional push. Let's move forward with it. It gives us more of an opportunity as an instructional leadership team to really come together to watch what's happening with our students in the classroom, to have more conversation around.
Absolutely. And you had some really great engagement. I'm going to pull up your engagement report here. Let's see here. Go ahead. So we obviously, after kind of, go back the last 90 days, anybody that actually works with us in a trial, when we do a demonstration, we actually turn on more features in the platform that kind of make sense for that use case, like Sibme goals modules, turn on a framework of instructional standards, analytics dashboard. But we also meet with you for like a trial kickoff. And, if you need a trial support meeting, we certainly make time for that. And then a trial review. And in your trial review, we give you this really nice, engagement report, and kind of gives you some insights into kind of reflecting back on the semester, when you used it, how you used it, and all those things. What do you think about, looking back on this last year? What does this kind of report tell you?
So I do feel like in the beginning, and you'll kind of see those little smaller mountains there, where we were kind of testing it out just to see workspace wise, what could we do as coaches, but then partnering together as coaches to take on some huddles. Where we invited some of our paraprofessionals who are doing small group work and some of our classroom teachers who were willing to help us grow in our practices as coaches, but also simultaneously grow their practices. So when I look at this report, it really tells me how we've grown our practices, definitely with huddles and just being able to come together collaboratively to work towards that common goal of student achievement. You can also see, I guess, closer to the right there, where we've really upped the number of huddles that we're doing. I do feel like once we were able to really see the power in it, we started to talk to our grade level teams more about just the opportunity for them to hone in on their craft as teams to serve the students in their grade level, to start some huddles so that they could get a glimpse at what instruction is happening in each other's classroom, and to use that to have some common conversations, which I will celebrate. I feel like our team, ideally one grade level in specific, has taken on that challenge, and they have really got an opportunity to not only hone their craft, but be able to see, oh, that strategy that you did within your classroom that we've never had a discussion about. Now we can see that in action, and we can have some more conversation about how we can make that practice come alive in other classrooms, which then leads to that student achievement, to that depth of conversation that we definitely want to get to within our teams.
You actually made some great points there. And especially when we're looking at this graph and seeing this activity. And like you said, once you see those teachers really owning in, really getting that buy-in, especially with the use of the huddles, where they're actually able to collaborate and really knock down the barriers of those classroom walls, right? And you really got to see the takeoff of that. So it looks like we had another person join us, Miss Lee here. So I want to get you in on the conversation as well. With your, trial of Sibme, can you tell me some things that you discovered throughout that period?
So I will say that while I was familiar with Sibme from conversations with Ms. Bowie, I was not actually much of a user. Just a little bit of background, some of the components of Sibme were things that we had previously attempted to simulate through some other less sophisticated platforms. The idea of recording content that's taking place in our rooms and sharing it with each other was definitely something that the buy-in was there from our admin team. It was something that, we had been in support of for several years. It's been a couple of weeks, Tawanda, you'll have to help me with this. We had a student who we had some actual behavioral concerns with, and immediately I'm like, and understanding that we had an adult that could benefit from some coaching and feedback on how to better support that student. So instantly I'm like, yes, Sibme is the perfect platform in which to accomplish that. So we kind of quickly got the team on board. There were a couple of people who were not users. Our classroom assistants, I don't think any of them had been, we didn't have as many classroom assistants who were current Sibme users. We kind of got everybody on board and really have been able to start. We're just in the initial phases of using that as a tool for coaching that adult and how to support a student better. So, I think Tawanda's seeing it more big picture in terms of how we can look at whole classes and instructional strategies and how we can share those. And I think as an administrator, currently I'm seeing it more like, okay, how can we use this to see how we can better support students behaviorally, big picture, and then, individual students.
Excellent. I kind of want to, this was a really great engagement report. How does this experience, now that we're able to spend time in a trial, decide to make, that this space was a good fit for your workflow, then you were able to use the pilot to kind of build champions and actually, really take this car for a drive, with your people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where do you see this kind of fitting into what's next for your campus?
So I think for a long time, we had discussion about, shifting our culture and moving more towards a level of transparency where people felt like they could be in each other's rooms, they could share ideas openly, they could be vulnerable and share what's working well, ask for help with things that are not working. So I feel like this platform truly allows us to be in each other's rooms in a way that we had not really, I think maybe we as an admin team or an instructional team had imagined, but I don't think the teachers had really imagined that they could be in each other's rooms in this way. So I think it really opens the door for a continued level, a growing level of transparency and sharing and truly functioning like a professional learning community where everything we do, it's all about the learning and learning from each other. It just kind of takes that up to the next level for us.
And I could not agree more with what Ms. Lee is saying. I do feel that it is, one of the best professional developments when you're talking about PLC work and you're talking about teachers being able to get a picture into someone else's classroom that is on the same grade level, practicing the same content, but again, using that as leverage to get to that student achievement. We all have the same common goal, but now we can look at our practices and make sure that they're common, questioning. There's just so many different lenses that teachers can use Sibme as a platform to get to where we are ultimately trying to get to, which is tapping into student achievement and using it as leverage to build our own practices, do some self-reflecting, whether it's positive or whether it's a growth opportunity, but you can do all of that work within this platform. It really allows that.
And I would add one other thing. You know, I think what happened for me today is kind of an example of how this platform allows the work to be continuous, even if somebody's out or someone is not available, or I have been in and out for several days, but I had already had that conversation with the adults in that classroom about, you know, we're going to upload some videos, we're going to have some discussion, we're going to review them, we're going to have some look fors, all of those things. Well, had we not had this platform, that would have all been contingent upon me being present in this building to go in that room at those times. We have 4 hard pieces of data already that we can look at that we would not have had we not had this platform. So, and then that allows me to step right back in the next time I can get to a computer. And I saw that there's a mobile app that I'll be downloading as well. But, you know, it allows me to step right back in as soon as I'm able to get back to the computer and I have a block of time where I can watch, and then pick right back up and watch the videos, ask the questions, and then they're able to jump in, you know, when they can, to respond to those questions, and we can have that dialogue. So you know, it just allows us to not waste any time.
Yeah.
Excellent. Do you think that this might, you know, as you're kind of starting to brainstorm around strategies to address learning loss due to COVID-19, do you see maybe how Sibme might be able to kind of support, no matter what that strategy might come to? Go ahead.
Absolutely. I know we talked a little bit about, like, even though we're back 100%, we still have some days within this year that are like e-learning days. But I do feel like the future that's added on Sibme, where it allows you to record not only just in your classroom from an outside source, but you can record your screen. You can record still that student interaction that you may have to have virtually, that still allows us to reflect. I also feel like it does give teachers leverage, because we know we have to go back and cover standards that may not have been addressed as they typically would be, because students weren't face to face. It does give us that opportunity, again, to still have that same common language, to still be able to look back and reflect on lessons, to identify, okay, what were the gaps? Where do we need to do more, whether it be SPA review or whatever it is. It gives us that opportunity as instructional leaders, but also it gives teachers that opportunity. I do love the fact that it has a workspace, and every teacher has a workspace, and it's a workspace that allows them to truly reflect on their own practices. It's a space that's truly theirs, and they can record as many times as they want to, and watch it as many times as they need to reflect on their own practices. I really do enjoy that future, and I do feel like teachers take advantage of that. So it's not it doesn't add the added element of, you know, perfection. Like, here is something that I'm attempting. I'm gonna record myself. I'm gonna be able to watch it on my own time, and do some personal reflection, which I think could definitely support that whole piece in learning loss, and getting kids over that hump.
Excellent.
I totally agree. I think that, especially when you're talking about implementation, that's a really big part, you know, that workspace where you're saying that, you know, you're being pulled in different directions in the campus throughout the day, right? So that teacher then has the ability to record themselves, but before they send that video to you, they can watch it themselves and self-reflect.
Yeah.
That they didn't notice, or they may have noticed beforehand, but the conversation is so much richer that you find in what the conversation that we're having, and really getting to the meat and potatoes, I guess you can say, of really, you know, closing the gap of what we have to take care of throughout this year. So I'm really glad that you touched on that point.
Well, I think we're kind of winding down to the end of things. Really proud of your work this year. We're going to have a virtual conference with other members of the Sibme community. We'd love to hope you guys can make it there. June 21st and June 22nd. Let's see if I can pull that up here real quick. Better together. Hope y'all. It's free to attend. Why not show? There we go. Transforming professional learning. If you guys would like to learn more about Sibme, certainly create a free trial at www.sibme.com. If you want to hear more about how the platform is being used by practitioners in action, certainly attend this conference. It's free to attend. And we're also going to have some really great speakers, keynote speakers, Paul Bambrick Santoyo, Jenny Donahue, one of our practitioners, Dr. Tanya Goree, on campus transformation, moving a campus from good to great, and Danya Sanders, innovation in instructional coaching. This is going to be a really great opportunity for everybody that's, needs a summer conference. Okay, if you would like to learn more about Sibme in action, great place to kind of go. But there are some people that are Sibme subscribers presenting, and some that are not. So it's kind of for everybody. It's folks that want to have a growth mindset around teaching and learning. So that's all we got for today. I'd like to thank you all for attending today, Ms. Bowie, Ms. Lee from Duncan Chapel Elementary. Thank you for your hard work for kids. We'll see you out there.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you.